Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have government upgrades road infrastructure in Ali Sabih. Nearly 4,000 people evacuated due to the forest fires in Turkey. Welcome to our newsroom. The Ali Sabih region, like the rest of the regions and the world severely affected by the devastating effects of climate change, is today the scene of a veritable ecological renaissance. This transformation is the fruit of an ambitious reforestation initiative which is giving new hope to an entire community. Launched some times ago under the name Green Asajog, this large-scale project aims to restore the region's forest cover by mobilizing a wide range of local players. Local authorities, businesses, associations, and citizens have joined forces to carry out large-scale tree planting operations, marking a decisive turning point in the fight against environmental degradation. The renaissance of Asajog is therefore more than just a reforestation. It symbolizes the revival of an entire ecosystem made possible thanks to the commitment of a collective determinations of all its inhabitants. The prefect of Ali Sabih region, Abdulmalik Mohammed Banoita, said that the result of this initiative are already being felt. Not only in this is the region's landscape being transformed, the threat is showing encouraging signs of recovery. If the road to the development is through road development, then the Djibouti government has fully grasped the importance of modernizing its road infrastructure. The recent completions of rehabilitation work on the National Road 5, specifically the Dudubal Al Ali Sabih section, is a magnificent illustration of this determination, an achievement which is much more than a simple construction project and which today symbolizes a bold vision for the country's future. The road leading to Ali Sabih region is now paved, opens up a new economic and social prospects for the regions. The inhabitants of Ali Sabih, who previously had the content with the impassable roads, now benefit from improved accessibility, making their daily lives easier and stimulating local trade. What's more, this strategic roads is vital corridor for Ethiopian heavy good trucks vehicle consolidating Djibouti as a leading logistic hub. The government's vision is reflected tangible actions that benefit to the citizens. The modernizations of road infrastructure, as demonstrated by the asphalting on the road leading south to Ali Sabih, is undeniable proof of the commitment to promoting inclusive and sustainable development. For his part, the general manager of the Al Nasri company said that the success of this project is a real boon, testifying to the government's sustained efforts to transform Djibouti into the prosperous connected nation. The progress made opens up a promising prospect for the country's future, confirming the central role of infrastructure in the nation's economic and social development. These roads are now smoothed by asphalt, are becoming vital arteries, breathing new dynamism into every village and town they cross. Ali Sabih once isolated, has seen its horizons broadened and its economic potential multiplied. Ethiopian trucks carrying valuable goods now cross the regions with disconcerting ease, making the idea of a Djibouti crossroad of regional trade palpable. For his part, the prefect of Addis Ababa region, Abdulmalik Muhammad Benoita, said that the completions of this road transcend the simple notions of construction, said the prefect in a statement to the press. This road, which now runs like a vital vein through the region, is the backbone. It symbolizes much more than a ribbon to the bitumen. It embodies, he added, the government's collective ambitions to make the Addis Ababa region, like the other regions of the interior, fully fledged development community. Our renewed hope and our determination to progress together. He went on to say that this road is a vital artery that will breathe new economic life into the region's residents. Once isolated, will now benefit from unprecedented accessibility. Goods will circulate more freely, trade will multiply, and our regions will emerge as a key player in the national development. And now let's discover with us the Archives magazine from Salam Bank into the Republic of Djibouti.
The Salam Group has so far invested nearly 140 billion of our francs in several projects. However, its greatest investment will undoubtedly be the extraordinary real estate project called Salam City, an urban development project with Salam Real Estate. A first in Djibouti, this is an ambitious project to build 7,496 housing units in the Nagat area, covering a surface area of 242 hectares over a period of 7 years. Faced with a shortage of housing in the country, the government has launched a number of initiatives to revive the development and construction sector by promoting home ownership among low and middle income households. The Salam City project, which comes from a private sector, is a valuable contribution to the authorities' efforts to overcome the housing shortage. Salam African Bank will invest nearly 85 billion of our francs to implement this project. A willingness of this institution, which has a long experience in the real estate sector, to align itself with the determination of the President of the Republic to multiply the strategies aimed at strengthening access to affordable housing for all Djiboutians. This is the spirit of Salam City, whose innovative architecture and environment that takes into account the conditions of our climate and building materials to withstand the vagaries of time. So what does Salam City stand for? What type of housing is it? What will be the eligibility criteria? Clarifications with the General Manager of Salam African Bank.
This project is not just a housing project. What we'll build is a whole city, a new city. We do not want it to be like any city, but a modern city that has all the infrastructure and facilities. Whether it's commercial facilities, education, rest areas, or even playgrounds for children, the place where the community mix and etc., it's all inclusive. All must be there at least, all that is essential for the inhabitants. People don't have the same financial capacity, and it was important for us to take this aspect into account and make sure that this project meets all the necessary budgets. We are giving the highest priority to low and middle income households. The house we will build will range from F2 to F4. And there will also be duplexes and apartments for everyone according to their means. It was necessary to emphasize the human aspect and to grant facilities in the acquisition procedure. That's why the particularity of this project is that we usually propose financing for 7 years, but this time we have abandoned this practice and extended the period to 15 years. We have also made great efforts to reduce the cost and make available to Djiboutians affordable housing.
With this gigantic project, Salam Group is seeking to revive access to housing firstly through affordable prices, secondly by putting in place all the facilities needed to make life easier for the future inhabitants of Salam City, and thirdly by making social inclusion the foundation of what today looks more like a new city than a large district. Such a project has required extensive preparations. Its impact on urban planning will be consequent. It was necessary to set up everything to accommodate this vast project at the level of the Ministry of City Planning and Housing.
This project is being carried out in an area that was first identified in the master plan that you see here. This master plan was followed by what we refer to as the urban development plans. At this point, these operational plans that go down to a much more operational scale of 242 hectares destined for housing. It is a really important project by the number of residents which are planned there, about 7,496. But beyond the number of housing units that will be built within the framework of this project, there will be economic and social spin-offs. But also in terms of urban development, it will transform the face of the city in our capital.
The impact will therefore be significant, firstly in terms of employment. In order to build 7,496 houses, the infrastructure that goes with them, you need manpower, plenty of manpower. According to the provisions of Salam Real Estate, there will be no less than 2,000 employees per day if you build on time and to standard, a forecast shared by the Ministry of Labor.
This project will create around 1,000 jobs daily and in the construction sector. As you know, there is a whole chain of trades from engineering to laying a groundwork, and so there are specialists like plumbers, electricians, bricklayer, and carpenters. It's all these trades that are going to be used. There are also other sectors that will be affected because it will be entrusted to local companies for the realization of this housing. This is something that will impact the economy, also the companies of the building sector that are going to carry out these projects. There will be a creation of indirect jobs because in the surroundings of the building sites, all these men that will work on the building work will require food. They will need to buy meals, drinks, and water to refresh themselves and be able to work and construct more and more. Thus, there are all these jobs that will accompany the construction sites, therefore the indirect jobs, as we mentioned.
As mentioned at the beginning of the report, the Salam African Bank has invested nearly 140 billion Djibouti francs to date. Salam City alone would require about 85 billion francs, which is more than half of all investments to date. More than a housing project, this site will have a significant benefits for the national economy. For the director of the National Agency for Investment and Promotion, ANPI, the construction sector will boost economic growth, attract other investors, and contribute to the development of the country.
As they say in general, when the construction industry goes, all the strikes go to it. It is the backbone of the economy, the BTP, the Building and Public Works. And in this sense, this large-scale project of Salam Group will therefore lead the national economy and place them even more on a positive path. It is a major initiative that will have a significant impact on the national economy in the labor landscape itself. As always, the groups are building. Their investment projects are integrated investment projects that take into consideration all the components that meet our life requirements of basic life. This also places me in terms of real estate. Real estate has already submitted to us a project of international class hotels, 5 stars, and in the model.
For Salam African Bank, the objective is twofold. The urgent need to facilitate access to ownership in order to spare Djiboutians from the heavy cost of purchasing. In fact, building a prosperous and sustainable economy with Salam City is the official slogan.
For the international scene, deadly strikes in Gaza, Blinken in Israel for negotiations. An Israeli airstrike in the besieged Gaza Strip has killed at least 18 people, all from the same family. The airstrikes hit the house and an adjacent warehouse housing displaced people at the entrance of the town of Zaweida, according to the Al-Aqsa Martyr Hospital, where the victims were transported. The Palestinian Ministry of Health has reported the deaths of the 2 Palestinians where their car was bombed in the Jenin According to the UN, thousands of Palestinians had to live in a hurry, not knowing where to go amidst death and destructions after new Israeli evacuation order for areas of Deir al-Balah Center and Khan Yunis. The head of the U.S. diplomacy, Antony Blinken, flew to Israel on Saturday night as part of a new attempt by Washington to reach a ceasefire agreement in Gaza. Nearly 4,000 people have been evacuated due to the forest fire raging around the 4 towns and in the provinces in western Turkey. Authorities said on Saturday a total of 131 fires broke out over the past week in the forest and agricultural areas near the cities of Izmir, Aydin, Bolu, Mughla, and Manisa. In Izmir, the country's second largest city, the fire reached on apartment buildings and an industrial site on Friday evening, causing panics with 4,000 people evacuated, according to Ibrahim Yumaki, Minister of Agriculture and Forestry. 17 apartment blocks, 105 houses, and 44 workplaces in the Yamanlar district of the Izmir had to be evacuated. Some of the smoke is linked to the fires of the city's wastings, and the minister added emergency services were supported by 13 airplanes and helicopters to control the forest fires. Senegal marks a historic milestone with the launch of its first satellite. Senegal has successfully placed its first satellite into the orbit, announced President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, describing the launch of as a major step towards the country's technological sovereignty, named Gandsat 1A. The satellite lifted off from the Nonderberg launch base in California. The Senegalese leader said on the social networks on Friday evening, carried by a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. The satellite is a part of a space mission that has sent 115 other small satellites into the orbit from the United States as part of the Transporter 1 mission. Gandsat 1A was built by Senegal in collaboration with the Central Special University of Montpellier. The nanosatellite is designated to monitor the Senegalese territory and collect information for the country's economic and environmental services. And Ireland draws up a code of ethics for social media. In Ireland, the government is threatening to hold the heads of the social media companies personally liable for delays in removing hateful and hostile content from digital platforms. Social media companies need to take responsibility to what is on their platforms. Ultimately, they generate profit by putting this content online, so there must be an obligation for them to monitor and manage what it is hosted, said James Lawless, TD, Minister of State for Climate and Communication. The Irish Media Commission is drafting a code of conduct aimed at making social vigilant about removing harmful and defamatory contents online. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.